Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Trust, the civic devotion for Nigerian citizens. We are now in the 18th day of this civic devotion, where we meditate and reflect on topics that apply to our lives as citizens. We examine them. We examine our life, examine our role and the impact of our everyday actions on this whole social fabric called Nigeria. We examine how our actions affect each other and how our actions affect the entire well-being of the country. So it's the 18th day. Today's topic is courage to do right. The courage to do what is right. Because as you know, in these meditations and these reflections, we're often encouraging citizens to act in the best interest of the nation. In other words, there's a standard that we are reminding ourselves that we are obliged to observe so that this nation will work. And that standard, in other words, frames a set of behaviors or character traits that we consider to be the right character traits, the moral character traits, the preferred character traits. So underneath this, we are reflecting on how courage is critical to the performance of this standard. How when everybody is acting in a certain way, one person chooses to do the right thing, how that is premised on this principle called courage. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to act against popular opinion. It's not easy to act against popular behavior and popular conduct. When conventionally certain things are rewarded, certain behaviors are more predominant and are more common, and it looks like everybody has accepted and normalized them. When one person stands up and says, no, this is not right, or no, this is destructive, no, this is counterproductive, that person is often vilified, that person is often attacked, that person is often criticized, even though their actions will bring about, prosperity for all of us or will serve the greater good. Still, we condemn them. So it takes courage. It takes courage to redeem ourselves. It takes courage to redeem our actions, and we want to talk about it. We want to examine it. As is our pattern in this devotion, we base our reflections on the holy books from which we draw our faith and our morality. And so I will do no different this morning. Our first reading is going to come from the book of Joshua in the Bible, the first book of Joshua, verse 9. It enjoins all Christians and says, be strong and courageous. It is an everyday, requirement on our lives as Christians to be strong and courageous. Which means when we step out of our homes, when we step into the public spaces, when we step out, as citizens, we must do so with strength and courage. The Holy Book of the Quran in the 4th book, verse 135, it says to all Muslim faithfuls, stand firmly for justice. Stand firmly for justice. What does it mean to stand firmly? It means against all odds, against all attacks, against all opposition, against all forces working against you. Stand rooted for the principle of justice, for what is right, for what is fair, for what is good standard. So it's talking again about strength. For that thing that is firm is rooted in strength and courage. And in African philosophical compilations, we have an adage, a belief, which says truth is like fire. It cannot be hidden for long. Truth is like fire. It cannot be hidden for long. What this is talking about is that no matter how long it takes, truth will always be exposed. So sometimes people are penalized, persecuted even. They come under many years, protracted years of persecution because they stood for the right thing. It's encouraging them that don't worry. It will only endure for a night or for a season. The truth is bound to come to light, to surface. So those people who chose the path of integrity, who stood for what was right and came under heavy persecution, heavy attack, heavy condemnation, because they chose the path of integrity and truth, be assured your name will be cleared. Be assured your reputation will be repaired. You will be exonerated. That's what this proverb is encouraging us. So, courage to do what is right. Courage to do what is right. It's very important. We have to stress this because, when we encourage people to do the right thing, one thing we omit to mention or prepare them for is the fact that it's not always easy. It's not always easy to stand for what is right. It's not easy when covering things up might be an easier choice, or when aligning with evildoers might seem more beneficial. It might protect your interest in the immediate. It's not easy to stand for integrity and say, no, I won't compromise. It's not easy. And so by not preparing people adequately, we leave them exposed to the unexpected. They're often taken by surprise when they come under, the backlash of integrity. Integrity causes, there's a backlash, yes. Because if every other person is corrupt and you choose to act with integrity, you will face the backlash of a general pool of corrupt people. So it's not always easy. They will come out after you. They will come out to ruin you. They will come out to twist the narrative, to build popular opinion against you. They will do everything to isolate you. They will do everything to get you out of the system so that they can be in control. So you see, you will suddenly be under the spotlight for the wrong reasons, because these people, they won't go down without a fight. Corruption has its own army. Corruption fights back. We've had many public servants who chose the path of integrity come out in the aftermath of their struggles to tell us, corruption fights back. Evildoers, they won't fold their arms and watch you trying to sanitize the system. It's not always easy, so it takes courage. Treat it like a war. Treat it like a war. And when you do that, what happens is you're more strategic. You're more alert. You are more aware of the moves by the other parties. When you are in a war, you study your opponent. You know their regiment. You study their army. You study their operational system. You study their patterns. You study their moves, their tactical. But many people acting with integrity are not as strategic. They don't recognize that it's a war. And that's why we're focusing on this topic. Courage, because when you go in war, you have to have a courageous mindset. You have to have a mindset that allows you to be rooted firmly. The way the Holy Book of the Quran says, be rooted firmly in justice. Stand firmly for justice. That's courage. It's with courage that you can stand firmly. However, it's with full awareness, full environmental, social awareness. Don't be caught unawares. Reflect. Be taking all the, be observant. Be sensitive. And you see, this is where mastery, self-mastery, and strength of character comes in. Because to choose to do the right thing when you are facing massive opposition comes from a high level of self-mastery. In other words, the ability to govern yourself, govern your thoughts against impulses. Because your natural reflex action would be to give in, to compromise, to adapt for survival reasons. It's evolutionary. Human beings want to adapt so that they're safer, so that they can survive. But self-mastery means you're governing those impulses so that they are aligned with longer-term goals and values. And that's where strength of character comes in. How strong will you be able to stand for your values? When the Holy Book of the Quran, it says, stand firmly for justice. Justice is a value. And only those who are absolutely courageous can choose to stand firmly for justice, for what is right, for what is fair, for what is equal, for what brings about the greater good in the long run for everybody. So courage is not about being the strongest person in the room. It's about having the strength to choose what is right, fair, honest. Even when you are going to face condemnation, you're going to be persecuted for it. They're going to attack you. They will lock you up. To stand for it, for that principle, it takes courage. Without courage, you can't do it. Without courage, and ethical courage. Ethical courage means that you choose it, even though dishonesty appears easier, but because it is in the interest of every person, not just you. Ethics is always guided by what benefits everybody else also, not just me. So if it is easier for me to just, bend or compromise or tell a lie or steal, I could do it for my selfish reasons. But will it benefit society overall in the long run? No. Ethical leadership demands, therefore, that you stand for what benefits the whole of the society, including those who don't have a voice, the most vulnerable, the most disadvantaged, the most disempowered. You stand for them. That's ethical leadership, courageous leadership, moral leadership. It is lacking. Why should we choose it? Why should we choose to do the right thing? Because character matters. Because every choice you make shapes the kind of person you become. We talked about it in earlier sessions. How a building is a composite of different blocks put together. One after the other shapes the whole structure. That the totality of who you are is a makeup of your everyday actions and choices. Every choice you make every day shapes who you are eventually. That's why it matters. Because when you choose dishonesty, it becomes you. When we examine you, the grains of who you are dishonest. But when we examine you and the grains of who you are honesty, that reflects in your whole character. It also matters because trust is the foundation of society. Remember, we've talked about it. Families, friendships, businesses, governments, relationship between leaders and followers, authorities, all depend on trust. When people can't trust each other, when they don't find each other dependable or reliable, cooperation breaks down. And once cooperation has broken down, just understand that society has broken down, because it is trust and cooperation that hold societies together. And also, don't forget that short-term gains will create long-term costs. Though dishonesty sometimes appears, to bring rewards in the immediate, there are long-term consequences. There are huge long-term losses attached to it. You will break relationships. Reputations will be lost. Conflicts will come about. Injustice will reign. Systems will collapse. So many terrible adverse consequences because of this thing called lack of courage to do the right thing. So let's choose the path of courage. Because underneath every dysfunction that we are witnessing in our society and complaining about is a leader or somebody who was a key actor in that moment, who chose the easy road, who compromised, who chose the path of dishonesty, who chose the path of corruption because it was easier to blend in, to adapt. I'll be like the Joneses. Let's be like the Joneses. May God help us to act with courage and integrity, to stand firm for justice, to be rooted in justice, to display moral character, courageous leadership, to resist pressure and temptation. Dear God, we thank you for a new day. We thank you for another opportunity to experience life on earth today. Help us to live purposefully, kindly, contentedly, brilliantly, honestly, and fully. Guide us, protect us, teach us, correct us, and inspire us. At the end of today, may we bring glory to your mighty name and to our great nation, Nigeria.